Did you guys know that you can access Days of Ruin style battleships on Advanced Source by Web? All you need to do is to select Eagle as your CO, activate Lightning Strike, and boom! You have battleships that can move and shoot in the same turn. Absolutely genius! Why has no one thought about this before? The Air Commander? More like the Battleship Commander. Sit down, Drake. Let Eagle show you how it's done. So this is an absolute banger of a game, as Deegis would say, that I followed very closely on the Global League. And when I saw the Eagle battleship being built, I was like, oh my god, I have to show off this game. This is too good not to showcase. Now, of course, you know, you have been spoiled now. There will be an Eagle battleship, but I still think you should watch this game because it is a good one, and it is a long one. So I hope you guys don't like long or I hope you guys do like long replays. We're gonna be here for a while. I expect this video to be at least 1+ hour because this is a long game. Now, it is not between two noobs either. You may think it is because you're like, oh, wow, Eagle building battleships, but no. This is a 1300 MMR level game between Bay and his alts. Bay, he has a lot of alts. I don't really know what the premise of this one is. Maybe this is his Eagle battleship alt. I don't know. And he's up against a player known as Monty Sigurdsson. I do believe Deegis has hosted one of his replays in the past. He's also like a 1300 level player. And they're duking it out on a map called Michigan Maneuver. This map gets a lot of hate in the community, and I don't really understand why. And I kind of understand why, but I really like it. People don't like this map, but I love it because it has so many wacky openings. Both players starts out with a pre-deployed lander that can move around this very small area, but even though it's a very small lake, it has a lot of potential for really cool drop plays. Like, you can use the landers to transport artillery into range. Like, for example, one thing I really like to do is to move the lander up here on this harbor, drop the artillery off here, where it's shielded from the mountain, or with the mountain shields it from approaching enemies, and then you can use the artillery to lock down this comm tower, which is a lot of fun to do. Air units, very strong on this map. You have a forward airport, and you'll actually have 2 airports on each side. So there, you will see a lot of battlecopters coming out on a map like this. You do have these weird little islands on the side right here, which I don't usually see a lot of players capture because you have to invest 5k into a transport to get a city that yields 1k, which usually, at least on higher levels, you don't really have the tempo to do that. The middle is not very contested. There are cities here for sure, and some labs which don't really matter. But most of the time, you'll see the conflict happening around the harbors and the landers. And of course, this map does have a weak side, strong side component to it, where blue player over here, this is a strong side against the green player's weak side. And the same thing here, you have the green strong side against the blue player's weak side. So usually there'll be like heavy pushes on the sides, and as the game progresses into the late game, you'll see more of a south versus north style battle. Or more of a, not really true, you see more of an east versus west really, because green player will usually lock down this base, and blue player will lock down this base, and then they'll start to attack each other from the sides. But one of the things that I really love about this map, and maybe this is the reason why it gets so much hate, is that you have these harbors here very strategically placed. You build a battleship on these harbors, you can lock down your opponent's weak side base. So battleship here, you lock down this base. Battleship here, you lock down this base. And that's why the Michigan Maneuver is so much fun to play, in my opinion, because you actually get to see battleships on the Global League, and that makes me so happy. You guys know I'm an avid battleship supporter. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the matchup before we get into the game itself. We have Eagle versus Olaf. This is, in my opinion, the best matchup in Tier 2. This is the funniest matchup for me. Eagle is a CO that gets a lot of flack because the superpower is so strong. It's very slow, but it can absolutely change games. Eagle can be like behind by a lot, and then the lightning strike comes in and he just wins the game. And a lot of people don't like that. Getting a double turn feels very cheesy. But I really like playing Olaf against Eagle because it becomes a game of cat and mouse. Olaf wants to try and get his Winter Fury in before Lightning Strike comes in, because that usually delays the Lightning Strike by an entire turn, because very few Eagle players likes to pop Lightning Strike when it's snowing because they get so much less out of their power. So, and Olaf statistically will get his Winter Fury before Lightning Strike comes in because it's so cheap. 7 stars versus Eagle's 9. However, you need to be very careful when going up against skilled opponents, because if their Lightning Strike is somewhat ready, I have actually seen many Eagle players just sack Battlecopters into Anti-Air and get the Lightning Strike before Winter Fury. And if that happens, it's usually GG for little Olaf here. If Eagle gets his Lightning Strike off before your Winter Fury, it's very, very bad for Olaf. Because what you want is you want to pop Winter Fury before Lightning Strike comes in. Then Eagle will usually hold his Lightning Strike for a turn. And then he'll pop it on the turn after that. And due to all the damage that it inflicts on you, that means that your Winter Fury is almost ready to go again. So you kind of get 2 global damage right in a row, dealing 4 damage total to Eagle's entire army. And that tends to be how you win the match as Olaf. But you have to be careful, as I said. Good players with good power management will be able to sack units into you and get that Lightning Strike sooner than you might think. So as Olaf, you got to keep a absolute hawk eye, no pun intended, or an eagle eye, I guess, on the enemy's power meter and make sure that they cannot get their Lightning Strike. This is incredibly important. So yeah, this is a long game. We'll be here for a while. I hope you guys don't mind. I'm expecting this video to go into the 1+ hour mark because this is a long replay, and no doubt it's going to be going to take a lot of energy to cast this entire game because it is a wild one. But if you're ready, guys, strap yourselves in and let's begin on this wonderful journey. So turn rolls in. Already there's a lot of things that you can do with this lander. You can transport infantry over to the harbor, try to take it. You can decide to capture this city, or you can try to go for the capture chain in the middle. A lot of different openers that you can pull off. Obviously, getting the neutral bases is first priority. You want to try and get that as soon as you can. But both players will actually have quite different openings on this map. So Kanpai going for the base, obviously. Captures the city right next to his base as well. But Monty actually does something different here. He actually skips this base to go down for this one. So he wants to sack a little bit of early income to try and get these 2 cities early on and maybe send his infantry to capture some of the middle cities sooner instead of going for the early game income here. This is going to put him down a little bit, but he's probably still going to be able to afford his early game tanks. I'm assuming he has calculated his turns and he knows that this is something that he can do. Kanpai, on the other hand, he goes for this city right here. So he wants to get that early game income. I believe this is because he wants to be able to afford Battlecopters as Eagle. This is something that you got to think about when you play Eagle. Battlecopters are more expensive than tanks, 9,000 to 7,000. So if you want to get out Battlecopters early and you also want to produce infantry with all your bases, you do need more early game income than your opponent. Tanks are easier to spam than Battlecopters. So Monty decides to go for the city here. And yeah. Monty also goes for this airport. Olaf is a very underrated Battlecopter commander. You may think that in this matchup that Eagle has the advantage here because he's the quote-unquote air specialist, but never underestimate Olaf's Battlecopter spam because when he makes it snow, it becomes very hard for your anti-air to catch his Battlecopters, and also because air units are harder to repair compared to ground units. This also means that every global damage that comes in will reduce the enemy's air force by about 20%, and since you can't really repair your Battlecopters, this damage sticks around and doesn't go away. So Kanpai moves his infantry over here to try and grab the city. This is a good capture train right here. You take the city, you go into the river, and then you get this one and this one in short succession. Let's see what he decides to do with this lander, though. Obviously, he goes for the airport early on. Probably want to get out some early game Battlecopters. Battlecopters are so strong on the Michigan maneuver. They can hide in on these water tiles right here. They can hide behind the mountain tiles. Anti-air have a really hard time catching them because if you have a anti-air here, for example, the Battlecopter can just switch into the middle and start harassing infantry. You follow it with the anti-air and the Battlecopter just swoops back over the river again. So you kind of need 2 anti-air to lock down both sides of the river here, which is why Battlecopters are so strong. Kanpai moves his lander into position. I don't really know what he's planning to do here. He could try to boost it maybe, move the infantry like this and boost it over here. Don't really know the point of this though. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he'll get this city a little earlier if he decides to rush for it, but I don't think Monty's going to let him get that. So, day 4 rolls in. Monty goes for his airport, finishes capturing 2 cities, goes for this one as well. This one allows him a good capture train of taking this and then the airport. He could go for the airport first. I'm a little bit curious to see what he'll decide to do. Maybe he'll get the airport actually, because that will allow him to get an early game Battlecopter out, which is very important. So, day 5 rolls in. Kanpai finishes capturing his airport, goes for this captured property down here. And will he boost his infantry? Yes, he will. So, I'm curious to see what he intends to do with this. If he just wants to go for this city, then this boost is a little bit unnecessary. But he will be able to boost another infantry next turn. And he decides to cityscape. He skips the city to go for this city. This is a city that you definitely want to try and capture early because it's easy for your opponent to lock down. So Kanpai is sacrificing a little bit of early income here to get some of those contested cities in the middle. And here comes the first tank. Builds a tank on his strong side. This is pretty much how it goes in Michigan Maneuver. Both players tend to pressure their strong sides early on. And Monty does not decide to use his lander here. Instead, he just opts to move his infantry forward. Finishes capturing his airport. Will he decide to go for his other airport? No, he actually goes for the city first to try and get a natural capture chain going down here. So moves in, builds another infantry, and once again a tank on his strong side. This is what you're going to see out of both players for a majority of the early game. They're going to be pushing their strong side while playing defensively on their weak side. Kanpai decides to go for this natural capture right here from the airport straight over to the city. Both players are doing really well on their capture chains. Kanpai now grabs this city right here. Doesn't look like Monty's going to be able to interrupt that. And Kanpai also goes for his airport early on rather than going for the city. So he might have some plans to go some battlecopters on his strong side. Goes for this city right here. Prepares another infantry. I guess there's no point in boosting it anymore, but he could move it over to the harbor. And here comes the artillery out. And this is exactly what I was hoping for. This is such a... I love artillery openers on Michigan Maneuver because the artillery just gives so much flexibility. Not only in moving the artillery into position, but you can also use, as I said earlier, you could use the lander to block the artillery by moving the artillery like this, dropping it off on the harbor, and then dropping the artillery off here. And then suddenly it's going to be very hard for this tank to catch this artillery. You plunk down an infantry here on top of that, and maybe an infantry here to capture the city, and this artillery is sitting very comfortably until you can get battlecopters out. Of course, battlecopters will change that equation up quite a bit, so it's not something you can do forever, but it does allow you some early game some really cool early game strategic plays. Monty decides to just use the lander to block the harbor, preventing Kanpai from getting it. This is pretty smart. It's usually what I tend to use my landers for whenever I play in Michigan Maneuver. They're very good for blocking properties. The tank moves down, and of course, it doesn't really matter that it moves down because Kanpai has that lander play, but Monty decides to try and grab this city before Kanpai can lock it down with his artillery, and it doesn't look like Kanpai will be able to get that city right now, but Monty decides to go artillery on his weak side, on his strong side as well. So already, this is going to be an interesting match with double artillery on each side. Or sorry, double artillery, one for each player, I mean. Not two artillery per players. It's not an Inkugark match just yet, ladies and gentlemen. Kanpai decides to interrupt here. Not a bad move. Also decides to go for the airport. Finishes capping the city. Both players are doing pretty well in their early capture game. And here it comes, the Michigan Maneuver, as I like to call it. And, oh, he even decides to move an infantry into the lander. Okay, very interesting. So here comes, that's a bit of a funny glitch right there. I don't know if you guys saw that. Okay, there we go. A little bit of a glitchy graphics right here, but interesting. So he moves his infantry onto the shoal. This is probably to prevent it from being attacked by this infantry right here, but it does allow Monty to move an infantry onto the comm tower. Of course, if he does that, he places himself right in the range of the artillery. So let's see how this goes. However, Kanpai also decides to forego his own capture to take a shot at the infantry. I really like this move. This is good. This also sets him up to interrupt this airport capture on the next turn. This is a good play by Kanpai right here. He moves his tanks into position. Right now, this tank can threaten a lot of vital areas. It can interrupt this capture. It can help interrupt this capture. It's a very strong tank. Again, remember, when you see skilled players playing Advanced Wars, you always tend to notice that their units serve multiple purposes, you know? Weak players, they build their units with a single-minded purpose. I'm going to move this tank over here and target this building. Good players will move their units into positions where they can do multiple things. So you can see Kanpai right here. He has this tank. It can threaten multiple areas. So he has flexibility. He can change up his strategy. Day 7 rolls in. Monty decides to go for the airport. That can be interrupted if Kanpai wants to. Goes for this city as well. And again, this empty missile silo here serves as a very good defensive position for his infantry. He finishes capturing his city, moves his tank back to pick off the infantry so that the infantry cannot interrupt here. That's pretty smart. And also moves down his artillery as well. So this artillery will soon be into a very good position. But Kanpai, he still has this artillery here. It's very annoying. But will it be able to actually do something? He needs some more help. Problem is, this is his weak side. So he doesn't have a lot of reinforcement possibilities here. So this maneuver, this Michigan maneuver, if you will, we'll see if it actually ends up paying off. I like it, but it if you don't have anything to follow it up with, it can be a little scary. Monty builds another tank on his strong side, so already Kompai is going to be outnumbered here. He probably needs to pull back. Let's see what he decides to do. So he attacks with this artillery. Interesting. Will he actually, yeah, he uses his artillery or his infantry to move in and finish off the weakened infantry. So yeah, taking some shots with the artillery, might as well. Moves in the tank as well to guard the artillery. And moves in to take this last neutral city here. Finishes capping his airport. Gets a free shot off with the tank right here. That's pretty nice. Continues to cap this property down here. And of course, if he wants to get rid of this lander, he needs an artillery. Tanks do not do good damage to landers, especially not when they're on harbors with 3 defense stars. So, but here comes the game's first battlecopter. Expect to see a lot of these bad boys around. They're going to be very crucial to this match overall. And the sun is setting, so I think I will turn on a little bit of lightning in my room. There we go. All right, so let's see what happens. Kompai decides to back off with his infantry. I'm guessing it's just so that this tank won't get a free shot off on it. Although, I will say, I wouldn't expect Monty's tank to go all the way down south here anyway, because that means it's a little bit out of position, but I guess Kompai just really doesn't want to take free hits on his infantry, which is commendable. Day 8 rolls in. Monty finishes capturing the upper right city, and here comes the artillery. It is beautifully protected by this infantry right here. You see how many good artillery openers you can pull off on this map? Like, the terrain really favors them. And this tank right here can't really get anything done without backup now. Kompai's battlecopter is sadly on his weak side, so he can't really arrive to reinforce, but he has an airport here, so he can build battlecopters on both sides if he wants to. Monty decides to go for his capture in the middle here. I just noticed he's capturing a lab. This is really funny. You don't need to do this. It's completely worthless. Outside of Fog of War, you don't even get vision when you capture, so there's literally not a point to capturing here. Many people just do it because of OCDs, like, oh, it's a white building, I want to turn it blue. In comes the infantry. Gets a good shot off. The tank moves into the center as well. Looking pretty scary for this artillery right here. Taking a bit of damage from that infantry. Probably needs to pull back. I don't think Kompai can keep fighting on his weak side. That would be a very bad idea. Monty sets up his tank as well. His artillery comes into position and starts to capture a com tower with the weakened infantry. Okay, that's going to take, what, 4, 8, 12, 16. It's going to take 5 turns unless he reinforces it. So that'll be a little bit interesting to see. Continues to shoot with his artillery. He just, wow, Kompai is not backing up at all. He's like, I placed this artillery here, so I might as well keep it. I don't care if you keep shooting on me. I just want to get some value out of this bad boy. And gets a good positioning off with the tank. Look how amazing this is. It is a hostile city, so you won't get repairs, but who cares? Like, oh wow, that rhymed. So, but yeah, no, this artillery positioning is great. And now the battlecopter is in position too, and Monty does not have an anti-air to threaten this. So this battlecopter has free reign right now. So suddenly, Kompai's positioning is looking a lot better. He has the artillery right here. It is guarded by the lander. Monty does not have his artillery in range of the landers. He can't really threaten that thing away, and it's not going anywhere. So he really needs a battlecopter, I think. He needs battlecopter and anti-air, but the problem is he only has... well, let's see. He has an income of 15k. He's going to get 19k next turn. So I guess it's not going to be all that bad. And oh my god, what is going on here? Kompai putting his tank in artillery range? What is he planning to do? Is he going to build a battlecopter? Yeah, he's going to build a battlecopter. Yeah, so he places his tank on the city. He says, you know what? Okay, you want to shoot on me? Sure, fine, but it'll cost you your artillery. That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. This tank is also defended by the city, so it's not going to take as much damage. So this is kind of nice. Once again, moving his infantry back. Kompai really just doesn't want to give any free hits off to Monty. Builds a mech. Mechs actually not terrible on Michigan Maneuver. There are some moves for them. Lots of mountains where they can be very useful. So, and you have the lander, which can help transport them around too. So I like this move right here. This is a good mech map. And he decides to go for the capture too. So he's presenting 2 targets to Monty's artillery right here. You can interrupt the com tower. You can take a free shot of the tank. But if you do that, I'm going to your artillery on the next turn. Will you do it? So, day 9 rolls in. What will Monty do? He decides to move his infantry down here. There's 2 neutral properties, which he hasn't captured yet. He's also not getting this com tower anytime soon. Also, keep in mind, Kompai can also shoot on it if he wants to. That's something he can do if he just wants to deny it. Of course, now the battlecopter is out, but unlike on this side, this battlecopter is still not in range of Kompai's artillery, and Kompai has a battlecopter of his own to ward it away with. So Kompai's positioning just a lot better than Monty on his weak side. He actually has a very strong position on his weak side right here, whereas Monty is actually kind of foregoing his weak side here, and he's about to be in a world of hurt if he doesn't pull back here. Kanpai will also be a battlecopter, or sorry, a comm tower over his opponent, because it doesn't look like Monty's getting his comm tower anytime soon. And that's actually a problem, because, you know, that 10% firepower advantage is not a big deal, but in a map like this, where every little advantage counts, that will allow Kanpai some additional plays. So Monty actually decides to join Cap here, which is an interesting choice. I guess he really needs this tower. Again, though, you could have just, like, not done this. Like, what's interesting about this, and I actually don't like this join Cap move at all here, because here's the thing, right? Look at this. So you have this infantry right here that decides to cap the tower. Brings it down to 12, and then he joins. You know what he could have done, ladies and gentlemen? He could have pulled the infantry back and captured, and this would have been on 10 instead of 12. So Monty kind of just like threw away a unit here for nothing. He actually threw away a unit to put himself at a disadvantage. So really don't agree with this join cap move right here. I don't really understand what purpose this serves aside from just losing him a unit. It's just bad. I mean, he gets the money back, obviously, but it's the unit count you're interested in, not the money. Anyway, he decides to actually just take the free tank shot. I guess he doesn't really care that much about this artillery. However, he gets this lander in, which is pretty smart. However, this does come at a cost. He can block the battlecopter from attacking the artillery, but he's also giving away this harbor to Kanpai. Builds a anti-air, that makes sense. Wants to prevent that battlecopter from going in there. Moves his tank back. He's actually retreating on his strong side, which is kind of wonderful. Like, this is... all of Kanpai's games are incredibly wacky. He's a very weird player. He does a lot of weird stuff. And it leads to these, like, really cool matches where, like, he's pushing the opponent back on his weak side, which is something you don't usually see in the Global League at this level. But it's a Kanpai game, what can you say? So he grabs the tower now, grabs the city. They're both tied in income, but Kanpai now has that 10% firepower advantage. He goes in, gets a free shot off with the battlecopter, kills the infantry, and decides to push ahead. So, just gonna push his advantage and take the properties. Monty will be able to interrupt this capture if he wants to, but it'll cost him an infantry, because Kanpai has a very strong position in this area. So let's see what happens here. Now Kanpai decides to advance with his 2 infantry in the bottom here, probably because he's sensing that Monty is pulling back on this side. So you want to try and deny him at least getting this one, this property over here. In comes the mech as well. He decides, again, yeah, look at that. He decides to shoot on this infantry, which is join capped, so, and he actually just kills it. I don't think he would have been able to do this without a comm tower, at least not reliably. So, in comes the battlecopter. It's beautifully positioned just outside of Monty's range. Very strong battlecopter. And now he's going to get a city out of it as well. Of course, Monty can move into the city, into the mountain and interrupt it, but he'll lose an infantry that way. In comes another battlecopter. Again, going to see a lot of battlecopters here, and of course, Kanpai does do battlecopter engagements a lot better than his opponent, at least early on, because of that 15% firepower and defense boost that he gets. But don't underestimate Olaf's air game. He is pretty damn good at it, depending on how long the match goes on. So, Day 10 rolls in. I'm very curious to see what Monty's going to do here. Is he going to try to push on his strong side? Is he going to retreat on his weak side? He decides to go for these properties right here. That's good. He does decide to interrupt the property, which makes sense. He doesn't really want to give that. Keep in mind that interrupting a property for your opponent that's capturing your property, that's essentially a 2k income swing, because if he takes that away from you, he gets a 1k and you lose 1k. So it's a big tilt in balance. Finally moves his artillery into a better position. It is on a road, so it's a little vulnerable. This battlecopter can come in and attack it if he doesn't guard it, but he will be able to scare away the lander, and that is an important thing to do right now, because you need to take these 2 properties at some point. You can't just leave them uncaptured. In comes the anti-air. Kanpai only has a single tank in this vicinity, and it's on 5 HP, so this anti-air, there's not really a whole lot that can scare it away at the moment. So both players are doing a good job defending on their weak side, actually. It's a very wacky game so far. Monty decides to place a little bit of a wall right here. His artillery can be attacked, but if Kanpai does that, then he might lose his battlecopters. So we'll see if Kanpai, he might just sack a battlecopter actually to take down the artillery, because taking down this artillery would be pretty good for him. Day 11 rolls in. Kanpai decides to go into the center and eat some free dudes. This is pretty common once you get battleshifters. battleshifters, we're just gonna call them that now, battleshifters out on Michigan Maneuver. If you scare battlecopters away from the sides, they'll usually go into the center and they'll start eating up free dudes. And you gotta be careful about this, because if you lose all your infantry in the center, a bunch of properties are sure to fall, so you gotta be careful about this. Kanpai moves his tanks in for repairs, start capturing the harbor. 2 more turns of that and the harbor. He actually decides to join cap. Interesting. And this time I agree with it, because you only want to join cap when a property is below 10 capture points. Anything above that, you'll just be hampering yourself. But in this case, I definitely agree with that. You want to get that harbor out. Down goes the infantry. Battlecopter retreats. He really has no choice but to retreat on his strong side here. In comes another battlecopter, and oh boy, this is about to get very complicated. The mech is about to enter play as well. Let's see if he pulls back his lander, or maybe he could also just let the lander take damage for free lightning strike charge. Keep in mind, this lander is worth 12k. That's a lot of extra charge that you can get if you don't plan to use it for anything. So he just actually decides to shift into the middle here, because he sees that Monty has a pretty scary attack coming in here. So, day 11 rolls in. Monty has his artillery still positioned very well. He can't really interrupt this harbor, though. I don't think he'll be able to. No, he needs to do 5 HP of damage. He could do it, maybe, if he gets a high roll. Let's see if that is what is going to happen here. He continues to cap he finally decides to start capping the comm tower. Day 11, he still hasn't gotten it. I do believe he will get it now, though, unless Combat decides to go wacky and maybe like throw a unit into it to interrupt it. I don't think he'll do that, though. Second anti-air comes out on his weak side right here. This is important because Kanpai is starting to amass a very critical massive battlecopter channel. 4 battlecopters right now. This is very scary. Once that lightning strike comes in, they'll be really strong. Gets a shot off on the lander. I get the feeling Kanpai is just kind of serving it up for him for power charge here. He's like, yeah, whatever, man. Just shoot my lander. It's okay. I want the power charge more than I want the lander itself. Monty decides to attack here, and he does interrupt the cap, which is nice. And continues to move in here. Places a bit of a wall. He's really scared of Kanpai interrupting that comm tower, I think. He really wants to get his firepower now, so he's just placing a wall around it. In comes the tank as well. And day 12 rolls in. Kanpai continues to capture the harbor. He might get it. Will he join cap together? He can send the battlecopter into the artillery. It's something he could consider doing. He will lose it, so it will be a disadvantage trade for him, but it might just be worth it to get that. Oh, that's exactly what he decides to do. Yeah, he goes for the artillery now. He's tired of this artillery. He just wants to get rid of them. He will gladly sack a battlecopter to get those artillery out of the way. Won't destroy them completely, but he'll take them out of action for like 4 to 5 turns if Monty decides to repair them. So, tries to get this city right now. Every city matters now. Both players are tied on income. Monty will get this property right here, though. So, Kanpai definitely wants to equalize that by getting some properties of his own. Moves the battlecopter in here. Okay, it is not in range of the anti-air. It is actually in range of the anti-air. I guess this is a... No, wait. Is this a shoal tile? I'm actually a little bit... No, this is definitely not a shoal tile. Okay, I'm a little bit confused right now. This is... No, never mind. It is a shoal tile. It's a little bit... No, yeah, this is a shoal tile. This is not a shoal tile. So, yeah, it's a little bit hard to see when the units are standing there. But, yeah, no, so it definitely, again, the ranges are a bit wacky on the replay viewer. As you can see, it says that the anti-air can go over here. I don't really know why. Definitely wish they'd changed that at this point. Seems to be some bug with the ranges overall. But in comes the battlecopter, just takes a shot at the lander. Okay, that's pretty funny. And yeah, you can see Kanpai is really starting to amass a critical force on his strong side. Monty definitely needs to pull back now. He cannot take this. He's going to lose everything if he sticks around. Day 12. Monty finally gets his comm tower. At long last, he has that 10% firepower now. And finishes capping this city as well. Slightly ahead on income, but Kanpai is going to get 2 cities next turn, so it won't stay that way for long. Moves his artillery out of the way, gets the free battlecopter. Kanpai gladly served that battlecopter up to him on a silver platter. Takes a little bit of a shot at the lander, deals 1 HP of luck damage there. Will probably kill it next turn, unless Kanpai pulls it back. I don't really see how he's going to keep it alive. He might pull it back, we'll see. So it's done a very good job just preventing that harbor from being captured. In comes the tank. Monty definitely realizes that he can't stick around here, so he pulls everything back on his weak side. He has anti-air, though. He has infantry. He has a good defensive positioning right here. Even pulls back his lander. He realizes that a big attack is coming here. Builds a battlecopter to reinforce his weak side. and in comes an anti-air as well. Again, lots of anti-air needs to be built here because Kanpai's battlecopter count is just soaring turn by turn. Kanpai finishes capturing the property and the harbor. Now Kanpai has a slight income lead. How can Monty equalize this income lead? Yeah, he needs to capture this harbor, then they'll both be on 19,000. And at that point, it pretty much is... Oh, interesting. Okay, moves his artillery... Okay, this is a lovely play by Kanpai here. I really like this one. So he places his lander here to block the battlecopter, and then he places his artillery here to lock down the harbor for just one more turn. Being as annoying with that artillery as he possibly can be. That is what I like to see. Even moving his infantry ahead, like just poking ahead a little bit, just, you know, playing with the idea of maybe moving in here a little bit. So... repairs his infantry and his tank. I like to see that. Keep that unit count high. Very important to repair. I like how bold players are continuously capping the lab, but none of them are really completing it. They're just capping for fun. I think this is just a bit of a meme at this point. But Kanpai is now deciding to front switch. He's front switching away from his opponent's weak side, and he is now congregating in the middle, probably to attack this side right here. This is a nice move by Kanpai. I like this a lot. He's deciding, he sees that this position is very well defended. He's like, okay, if I'm going to attack into this now, it's going to be very painful for me. So you know what? I'm just going to gather my units together in the center, and I'm going to do a mega push because I am Eagle, and if I get my lightning strike, it's GG. No one can survive a big lightning strike Eagle army moving into your center and just destroying everything. Day 13 rolls in. Monty's like, okay, I'll take the Freelander. I'll just allow you to deny my harbor for one more turn. That's fine. At least that lander won't be annoying me anymore. He still has his lander if he wants to do something with it. It's a good blocker, honestly. This is a thing that I really like about this lander, is that you can position it here and use it as part of your wall, which is kind of nice. But yeah, he's just preparing a really strong defense here on his weak side. He has this artillery right here in the position. There's no way Kanpai is going to break through here. This is going to be very tough for him to do, I think. So, Monty definitely recognizes the attack coming in the center here, though, and he's preparing the wall. This injured artillery definitely needs to get his ass over to a city where it can be repaired. Oh, he captures the lab, finally! Oh my god, that was annoying me for a long time, so happy he did that now. And he's not even gonna go for the harbor while the artillery is there. Day 14 rolls in. Both players kind of just having a stare down right now. Kanpai definitely seems like he's going for an attack in the center, though. So let's just see what he decides to do. Moves the top of his harbor, his artillery into position as well. Moves his mech in as well. This is turning into a pretty scary attack force right here. Oh yeah, he's moving in right now. Infantry in the front. Just notice how good he is at walling. All of his infantry is in the front, protecting his weaker units. His battlecopters are well protected, but they're still ready to strike. Still captures the lab. Moves in. Oh yeah, his army is safely congregated together in the center right now. We're about to see a pretty epic attack. And notice that. Notice how much money he just saved up. 19,000 income, 13,500 in the bank. You guys know what's coming now. You guys know what's coming now. Monty does get a free shot off with the battlecopter here, though, so Kanpai's walling was definitely not perfect. Actually gets 2 shots off, so that's not great. But what on earth is Kanpai planning? Why didn't he build a battlecopter? Monty may be thinking. Is it? I don't really think his opponent knows what's coming. It's like, surely he's not. Surely he's not gonna do it. That would not happen, would it? He would not be that crazy, would he? But this is Kanpai we're talking about here. He just doesn't work like the rest of us. He just doesn't play like the rest of us. He decides to do weird and wacky things. So Monty on this turn is just reinforcing his wall. He's finally capping this harbor, just deciding to do it despite this artillery. He can kill the artillery on the next turn. Kanpai gets the shot off. He's happy to take that. He needs to be a little bit careful here because there's a lot of infantry advancing on his left flank, so he could lose these cities if he's not careful. But you know what's coming, ladies and gentlemen. You can see it. You can see it. There we go. Yes! Battleship. Eagle battleship. Who cares that it's a minus 30% battleship? This is still a fantastic battleship. Look at how much it is locking down. The artillery is now in danger. The tank is now in danger. It's locking down the base. Now, there are a lot of battlecopters around here, but keep in mind, this battleship is on a harbor, 3 defense stars, and it repairs 2 HP per turn. The battlecopters are not going to be able to scratch this thing. It's a little scary when they catch your battleship out in the open, but when it's protected safely on that harbor, nothing can really dislodge it except for like maybe a rocket or a bomber. Battlecopters, sure, they can. I think they do like baseline 25 or 30% damage to a battleship, but that's going to get heavily reduced by defense. Now, of course, global damage is a concern. It's going to drain some repair funds, but I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. I really like this battleship. I think it's a great play, honestly. And here, Kanpai is like, okay, I'm actually going to shift my forces towards my battleship now. So he moves a lot of his battlecopters over here to threaten these two battlecopters. Let's see what Monty decides to do. Blocks the battleship with a lander. And now he could go for this capture here, but he doesn't. He's playing it very safely. He's placing his units on the outskirt of that battleship range. Join camps together, once again, sacking an infantry to get that harbor. Is he going to use this battlecopter to strike the artillery, though? We'll see. We will see. Moving his damaged artillery down here to help capture the cities. Yeah, Kanpai needs to be careful. These cities are very exposed right now. And the battleship that he just built here means that he's not going to have a lot of units over here to defend against this. So he needs to be very careful. Monty pulls his battlecopters back. He really doesn't want anything to do with that battleship. He's like, oh my god, this guy's crazy. What am I supposed to do against this? But he does decide to take this artillery down. I agree with this decision. It's definitely worth it. And even decides to take a couple of infantry shots here. Interesting maneuver right here. Michigan maneuver, I guess you could say. But he is pushing forward on his strong side now, because with the presence of this battleship, that means that Kanpai just sacked 28k into this side right here, which means that this side is going to be significantly weaker. So he's pressing his advantage by attacking where the battleship isn't. So Kanpai is going to get a couple of free shots off whatever comes out of this base. Infantry, tanks, whatever. Monty's probably just going to build infantry on this side from now, recognizing that it's not worth it to build tanks if they're going to get shelled repeatedly. But he's pushing a lot on the side right here, so Kanpai needs to defend this somehow. The mech comes in, which is nice. It's a damaged mech right now, and it can be wiped out by that tank next turn, so he needs to be a little bit careful. Tank comes out to help defend this. Oh, things are about to go nuclear pretty hard soon, ladies and gentlemen. It really depends. It's scary now, though. Kanpai, that lightning strike is coming very close. Is he actually gonna get it? He has 3 stars. He could... Yeah, look at that. Monty isn't even allowing him to sack battlecopters into anti-air. He knows how dangerous that is, so that's why he pulls back with all of his forces. With 3 stars remaining, all Kanpai really needs to do is sack like 1 or 2 battlecopters and do some other engagements, and he gets the lightning strike, and that's pretty much GG. So Monty knows how dangerous that is in this situation. The lightning strike is coming, and if it comes before Winter Fury, that is going to be GG. So he needs to play super carefully right now. Kanpai is feeling confident. That lightning strike is so close right now. He can feel it. He's moving in. Once again, swapping his battlecopters, shifting them back and forth. The battle shifters, as I called them earlier. They're getting ready to strike. And will he shoot on the lander? Or will he actually... If he shoots on the lander, he gives his opponent basically a free Winter Fury. So I have a feeling Kanpai is actually not going to shoot on it. Yep, he did not. He actually denied his opponent the power charge. He's like, yep, not going to do it. Not going to give you that. Monty captures his harbor. They're not completely tied on income, 19k to 19k. Kanpai is slightly ahead of Monty, but he's about to get that Winter Fury in. Will he be able to get it? 1 star away. I'm pretty sure he can get the Winter Fury if he wants to. It shouldn't be that hard. It's just 9k. Gets in a lot of shot. Yeah, there we go. Boom. It's so close. It's so close. He's definitely getting it now. He blatantly places himself in artillery range because he knows that global damage is coming in, and he wants to get that right now. So probably going to pop it right away. There we go. Winter Fury. Look at Kanpai's value right now. Ooh, my goodness. That was a lot of value. Let's watch that again, shall we? 138k. And... boom, down to 109k. Oh my goodness. That insane value. Wow, did they upgrade the snow graphic? It didn't used to look this good. Wow. Maybe you can fix the glitches first and then the visuals later? That'd be nice. Man, I'm very rude. But yeah, that is scary. Winter Fury pops in. That means Monty's not going to lose to a lightning strike. Kanpai definitely will not want to pop his lightning strike on the next turn because the snow halves his movement, which means the lightning strike is not going to be effective enough. But Monty, he smells blood right now. He moves in with a lot of his forces. Kanpai is going to be so crippled on the next turn right now. All of his units injured, but never count Eagle out. Lightning Strike can change games. As long as it's coming, you have not won. But Monty uses the advantage of the Winter Fury to reposition his forces, prepare for the inevitable attack that's coming in. Day 17 rolls in, Lightning Strike is almost ready. He now takes the shot on the lander because his opponent popped his power anyway, so why not? Gets a free shot. I mean, look at this. I mean, this is... okay, it's an Eagle battleship. It's not great. And this is also an Olaf artillery, or anti-air with extra defense because of the power. Still deals 5 damage. Still a scary battleship. It may not be as scary as other battleships, but it's, you know, it's still good. But of course, Kompai is not going to pass down the opportunity to gobble up some free units. He defends pretty well over here. He needs to be careful though, there's still a healthy infantry over here. And Kompai can't really reinforce that well on his weak side. So I fear that Monty is actually going to grab these 2 cities from him, and that's going to be very scary. But yeah, he has to move back. Oh my god, the Winter Fury cripples your movement so much in the snow. It's really scary. All of your units are damaged. But Kompai still has a pretty big army left. And the turn after this, we're going to see a lightning strike. And the question is, how effective will that lightning strike be? What the hell did he do? Oh, he joined campus infantry together? So, I think the reason why he's doing, like, join camping against Olaf, or joining units together against Olaf, actually isn't that bad of a move. Normally, I wouldn't recommend it, but the thing is, against Olaf, you don't necessarily want a high unit count. You want strong units, but you want a lower unit count, because of course the more units you have on the field, the more effective Winter Fury is. So joining your units together like this, actually not a bad strategy. You can see he does it a lot, actually. You can see here, he joins a lot of his units together to reduce his unit count, but increase his value. So anyway, it is Monty Sigurdsson's turn here. I love how the snow gradually fades out, by the way. That's a really cool detail. He's starting to apply a lot of pressure on Konpai's outer cities right here. Ooh, this is scary. I don't think he's actually going to be able to interrupt this. Yeah, in comes the artillery. He blocks off this, kills the infantry. So yeah, Monty just snagged himself a city down there. So that's a huge loss for Kompai. But Kompai, wait, what did his battleship attack? Oh no, never mind. He didn't. He shot on the Antire. So, but that Antire falls, and Monty has a pretty scary attack on the... Oh my god! What is better than 1 battleship, ladies and gentlemen? 2 battleships! Alright, so Monty's like, alright, you want to play that game? I can play that game. You want to lock down my base? I'm going to lock down your base. So we now have double battleship, ladies and gentlemen. This is the best game in existence. I don't care what anyone says. Michigan Maneuver best map on Global League. Fight me one-on-one. Alright, so he's like, okay, lightning strike coming. I don't care. I'm gonna push my advantage. I'm gonna run head first into that lightning strike, boy. Let's see if he ends up being punished for it or not. He really wants to protect that battleship. It's an important one for him right now. So Konpai's forces look pretty ragged and in pretty rough shape. But as with many other things, appearances can be deceiving. So day 18, here comes the lightning strike. This is the turn that Kompai has to make it count. He's way behind on value. He's behind on unit count. He will soon to be behind on income, but it doesn't matter because Eagle is busted. He uses his battleship to interrupt, which is nice. You won't let him get that city. In comes the tank. Artillery takes out the lander. Getting some good artillery shots off on Monty right here. Like to see that. Ooh, this is looking scary, man. So in comes the tank. Take down this infantry on the mountain as well. In comes the battlecopter. Normally this would seem like a suicidal move, but Eagle has that extra turn coming in, and oh my goodness, shift his battlecopter to the left as well. This is something you can do with Lightning Strike. You front switch at twice the speed, which means that units that you thought wouldn't be an issue are suddenly right up in your face, which is really, really scary. And gets a shot off here too, and will actually be able to use Lightning Strike to interrupt this capture. Never mind, I was wrong. I didn't even think about the Lightning Strike, and he gets the recon out as well, which is really nice. What's really cool with Eagle is that you can use Lightning Strike to increase your unit count by building cheap units or cheap vehicles and then move them out, and then you pop Lightning Strike and get infantry out of the base. It can double your base capacity, which is really nice. And in comes the Lightning Strike, ladies and gentlemen. Boom! This is going to be good. Let's see what he decides to do with it. Battleship shoots down the infantry. Interesting. Moves this. Okay, so he's not pushing forward on his strong side. Looks like he is instead going to push on his weak side. Gets that interrupt, which is nice. The recon killing the artillery. That's an amazing maneuver by Kompai. Love it. You love to see it. And boom, here we go. Oh my goodness, what a push on his weak side. This is now his strong side. My goodness, that battleship is in danger right now. In comes the tank. Artillery in position as well. Ooh, suddenly that battleship is looking very, very exposed. Gets a free shot off with his battlecopter. So, yeah, it wasn't like a devastating super push, but considering how far behind Kompai was, this is kind of scary for Monty right now. But you may notice, look at Monty's power bar. This is why it's so important to get your Winter Fury out as Olaf before your opponent can get their Lightning Strike. Because look, he almost has his Winter Fury ready again. That's how hard of a pounding he just took. And if you can get that Winter Fury out, well, that's going to be very scary for Kompai. So let's see what he decides to do here. Builds a battlecopter, builds an Antire. In comes the battlecopter. It's going to start threatening this battleship, I would imagine. Drain some repairs. Decides to go for it. I guess he really wants that Winter Fury. Is he going to get it? I don't imagine he would, but maybe he sees something that I don't. He's 1 star away from getting it, but due to the 20% fatigue, as I like to call it, or the diminishing returns, he is, right now, he's 9k away from getting it. Will a tank-on-tank engagement get him there? Let's see how clean his power management is. It doesn't look like he's getting it. Could he have been able to get... Nah, he's not going for it. Interesting. I think there's a chance he might have been able to get his Winter Fury here if he had pushed ahead, but maybe he just didn't want to get that. So Kanpai's turns rolls in. This battleship gets a nice free shot off. And his artillery now starts to shell the battleships. I think this battleship will actually die now because he has 3 battlecopters. And he won't be able to interrupt this camp, sadly. But he'll be able to get it back soon enough. So yeah, in comes the battlecopters and boom. Oh wow, yeah, that battleship is dead. Bye-bye, battleship. I guess only Eagle gets to have battleships in this game. Of course, global damage is coming in and we know it's going to be nasty. So let's see how Kanpai decides to deal with that. So, yeah, this is going to be scary now, because after 2 Winter Furies, your army is starting to look in pretty ragged shape, so... And notice how neither players have captured this property right here, which I think is kind of funny. Alright, day 19 rolls in. Winter Fury, baby. 136,000 down to 105,000. Ugh. Still, Kanpai is ahead, though. So he'll need to equalize a little bit this turn. Let's see if he manages to do it. In comes the anti-air. He's pushing on his weak side now, interestingly enough, even with the battlecopter present. So he's got a bit of a balls, this guy, this Monty. He's got some balls on him. In comes the anti-air, takes a good shot. He's now locked down the airport, kills the artillery as well. Pretty well played right there. Sacks his own anti-air, that's kind of funny. I don't know why he did that. Yeah, I guess he really wanted to reduce his battlecopter count a little bit. Makes sense, really. But yeah, kind of hard to say if any player has a big advantage at this point. I mean, they're both very equally matched. Monty does have a slight income lead, but Kanpai is going to be able to equalize that soon enough. So day 20 rolls in. Both players kind of similar in unit count, similar in value even. So this is interesting, but there will probably be another lightning strike taking place here. Battleship getting a lot of good hits. It still hasn't earned itself in value-wise though, but it's doing a good job just locking down the side, meaning Monty's only going to build infantry here. Alright, so, in comes the infantry. He's placing them on cities to heal them up, which is nice. Recon getting a little shot off here. You do love to see Recon in standard, that makes me really happy. But you can just see, like, all of Kanpai's forces are so injured right now. It's hard for him to push any meaningfully on this side. And, like, his mobility is so reduced too. It takes him ages to get his units into position. That Winter Fury is just so damn strong. Alright, Monty's turn rolls in. The snow recedes. He gets a nice shot off with his artillery. Kills the battlecopter, takes down the anti-air as well, and in comes his battlecopter as well. Looks like Kanpai's push is gonna be a pretty weak one with all these damage in units, and oof, gets the battlecopter as well. This is scary. Yeah, I don't think Kanpai's gonna be able to push on his weak side here. And yeah, these battlecopters, this may not hurt a lot, but it will drain your repairs, and you're gonna have to pay a lot of money to keep that battleship afloat, so you gotta be careful here. Monty's now also threatening another building, so this is starting to look pretty scary here. Kanpai cannot let him get any more properties now, or else he's going to start to snowball. And problem is, Monty has locked this airport down now with this anti-air, which is outside of battleship range. So this airport, essentially useless right now. Kanpai cannot produce his battlecopters, which is a problem as Eagle. He's essentially working on one airport right now. But on his at the start of his turn, he is pretty close to a lightning strike. It is about 16k away. That is pretty doable here. Let's see if he's able to get it. I think a lightning strike on this turn would be very nice for him. But considering how he's moving his units, it may seem like he's resigned himself to the fact that he won't get it, because he's not playing very aggressively here. So maybe he knows he has to wait one more turn before he pops his lightning strike. So yeah, he's definitely moving back now, pulling all of his forces together, preparing for that mega push. Winter Fury, the next Winter Fury is going to be quite a ways away. 88,000 is very expensive right now. So I think Kanpai knows that the next lightning strike has to be the decisive push that wins in the game. If Monty survives one more lightning strike, I dare say it's going to look pretty bleak for Kanpai here. So Monty pulling back, he knows the lightning strike is coming. He doesn't want to run headfirst into it. Continues to take free shots with his battlecopter though. Every time he does this, 20% of 28,000. I'm too lazy to do that in my head right now, but it's quite a significant sum. So this battlecopter is just sapping Kanpai's value away. And this battleship is only going to shoot on infantry, so while I do like the battleship, while I think it was a good buy, right now it's not doing a whole lot. It's only really shooting infantry. So, but yeah, he is pulling back. You can see he's scared of that lightning strike. He knows it's coming. 1 star away. Kampai could get the lightning strike on this turn if he wants to. The question is, does he want to, or will he just want to build up his units? Well, he wants to take his time, grab the city. He does need some anti-air over here though, and very soon, because there's 2 battlecopters in the vicinity, which is very scary. And he does get that anti-air out, moves his units over. This is such a tense game because you know that both players, they're just looking for the same thing. Or Kampai is looking for that lightning strike. Monty Sigurdsson is just hoping to survive until Winter Fairy comes in. So it is a stall versus a stall basically. But whoever decides to, whoever gets a good superpower off will basically win. So, oh my god, he built another. Oh my god, the second battleship is like, okay, alright, my battleship got destroyed, I'll just build another one. This is amazing. This is so good because this battleship is basically just a giant deterrent. He knows that Kanpai's game plan is to build up a large army and push it forward. Now with this battleship, he's essentially saying, yeah, you know, you don't get to advance in this area. You want to push? Do it here. I don't want you here. This battleship is just a giant, like, F you right into your face. Just no, you're not coming in here. This battleship is warding you off. And look at this. Kampai doesn't have any battlecopters in this vicinity. So what can he meaningfully do against this battleship? Nothing. He can't do anything. So, but Monty still, though, he moves his forces around. He probably realizes he can't take this property back. So it's time for the battlecopters to move away, where they can be more useful. Because right now, with this battleship, Kampai is definitely going to focus his attention on the right side of the map. So let's see what he decides to do. Yeah, Monty's pulling back with all of his units. He's playing really well right now. He knows that there's very little he can do, but just pull back and play defensive. It really is up to Kampai to make a good lightning strike happen. But every turn that goes by, Kampai gets a stronger army and a stronger lightning strike. Shoots on the artillery. He doesn't want to let Monty get another city. That would be disastrous for him. Even goes for a cap here. Wow, is this a Meng's infantry in action right here? I think D just would have a thing or two to say about this move. But yeah, Kampai is now gathering up all of his forces in the center, within range of his own battleship. He could also move his battleship up if he wants to have a little bit more coverage in the north. But yeah, he's kind of just ignoring this attack from Monty here on the right side and just moving his forces forward. Repairing them on cities, moving the anti-air. You can see how, like, this anti-air's mobility is so shit on the side. Like, this river kind of prevents it from reinforcing down here. And all Monty needs to do is, like, plonk a single unit down here to block it. So, it's a tricky defense from Kampai right here. I don't really think it's going to be able to do much. And this battleship is locking down his base, so he can really only produce infantry from it right now. So, he's very limited in what he can do right now. Yeah, battleship is going to start taking shots here. The battlecopters goes down, sadly. That was properly guarded. So Monty pulls his artillery back once again. This really is, like, you notice how much of a game of cat and mouse Eagle versus Olav is. Both players are just constantly moving forward, pulling back, moving forward, pulling back. Neither player wants to, like, allow the other to deal the decisive blow that ends the game. And it really becomes such a magnificent strategic game. Again, just like a complete tug of war. But here we go. Oh, right. Interesting. Okay, I was not expecting this. Just as I say that, Monty decides to move in with his battlecopters. I guess he realizes that Kampai only has a single anti-air, and he can block that pretty easily by doing this. Oh, what a move! What a wonder! Oh my god, just look at that beautiful maneuver by Monty right here. He's like, alright, there's one anti-air in the vicinity, let's shut it down. My goodness, that was a great maneuver. So yeah, this anti-air is completely useless now, and he retains the city, which is disastrous for Kampai. So yeah, Kampai is really struggling on the left-hand side, right? And back, this annoying mosquito of a battlecopter is like, just zooming around your ears, just taking shots at your battlecopter or your battleship. It's not doing anything major, it's just sapping your income little by little, making you more and more upset. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah, it's not looking great for Kampai right now. He does have his lightning strike, but what is he meaningly going to do with it? I mean, this has to be the turn he pops it, right? So let's see what he decides to do. Yeah, this is definitely the turn that the lightning strike comes in. All right, here we go. Here we go. Boom, gets the battlecopter. In comes the march of the infantry. Kampai, no, this is the turn. This is the turn where things has to happen. This is the turn where a lightning strike has to happen. So in comes the attack. Decides to base block himself. Of course, it's not really a base block because he can pop Lightning Strike and move away. So it's not that big a deal, but still, this is a scary attack that Monty has on the left-hand side here. Let's see what Kampai decides to do with it. But yeah, he's moving all of his infantry. He needs to probably join some of these guys together at this point. Is he not going to pop Lightning Strike? I have a feeling he's not going to pop Lightning Strike. Oh my goodness, really? No Lightning Strike? He's not popping it. Oh my goodness. What? But that means Monty's going to get his Winter Fury. I guess Kampai just didn't feel like he got enough value out of the Lightning Strike, so he decided to sit on it. But Monty's 2-star away from getting his Winter Fury. Now he's meaningfully going to get it. All he needs to do is just sack a couple of Battlecopters into Anti-Air and he'll get it. I have a feeling that's exactly what he's going to do. Battleship kills off the Anti-Air. Oh yeah, he's going for it right now. Oh, he can totally get it. Oh, he can totally get it. He's locking down that base completely. Kampai's just falling apart on the left-hand side here. Oh yeah. Now the base is locked down. Tank goes down. Oh yeah, he's getting that Winter Fury. He can get it if he wants to. Captures the property, moves in with the tank. Oh, half a star away. Oh, sacks the Battlecopter. I knew it. Winter Fury comes in. I'm pretty sure that's GG for Kampai. I don't see him being able to... I don't really understand why Kampai didn't go for the Winter Fury here. I'm assuming he's going to tell me in the comments. But yeah, that was pretty much the coup de grace for Kampai right here. I don't see him coming back from this Winter Fury. That is just too scary. Kampai can't pop his Lightning Strike for another whole turn right now, which is absolutely devastating. And I very much expect a resign here. Yep, there we go. Wow, what a game though. What an absolutely crazy game. That was really, really fun to watch. Great performance by both players. Yes, I'm a little bummed out that the Eagle Battleship didn't win Kampai the game, but I still think it was a really interesting game to see, like a lot of wacky plays. Ironically, it was really Monty who was the big Battleship commander in this game, but I still felt like pointing out the Eagle Battleship was... I still felt like making that the main gimmick of the video, because you almost never see that stuff. But yeah, really, really cool game. Really enjoyed it. I'd love to hear... I know Kampai watches my videos. I'd love to hear his analysis in the comments below. I want to know what you guys think about this game as well. This was a lot of fun. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mangs. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!